Jax's revenge domain. I knew something was wrong the second I walked into the lobby and saw Janet avoiding eye contact. This woman had been greeting me with a smile for 18 years, and now she was suddenly fascinated by her computer screen, like it held the secrets of the universe. The name's Roger Hayes, 54 years old, and I'd been busting my tail at Arcturus Manufacturing long enough to know when the vultures were circling. My phone buzzed with an Outlook notification, urgent meeting conference room B my 9:30 a.m. No context, no agenda, just a corporate summons that smelled like trouble. Let me paint you the picture here. I just closed 10 straight quarters of growth for our industrial division. 10. We'd landed the Morrison Automotive contract 3 weeks prior, $22 million over 3 years. I built that relationship from scratch, starting with a handshake at a trade show in Detroit and nurturing it through 18 months of golf games, factory visits, and late-night strategy sessions. But now I'm getting ghost text into a last-minute meeting like some rookie who forgot to submit his expense reports. When you've worked in manufacturing this long, especially starting your corporate career after 8 years in the Navy, you develop instincts. My gut was telling me this wasn't about congratulations or promotions. The Navy taught me to read situations, assess threats, and plan for contingencies. Right now, every alarm bell in my head was going off. The receptionist's nervous energy, the hushed conversations that stopped when I walked by, the way my assistant Lisa had been acting jumpy all week, it all added up to something I didn't like. Michelle Roberts' office door was cracked when I passed it. She was whispering to someone with that fake concerned tone she used when delivering bad news. The same voice she'd used when she told Pete from logistics that his position was being streamlined. Corporate speak for we gave your job to a 26-year-old with an MBA and half the experience. Michelle was our CFO, 39 years old, Harvard Business School graduate who'd been with the company for exactly 3 years. Smart woman, no doubt about it, but she had that typical MBA mentality. Everything was about optimization, efficiency metrics, and cost reduction. She looked at people like line items on a spreadsheet. I took the long route to the conference room, not out of fear, just strategy. Military habit, never walk into a potential ambush without understanding the terrain. Gave myself time to think, observe, and figure out who was acting strange. A few guilty looks here and there. Danny from accounts receivable, a guy I'd mentored for 5 years, literally ducked into the supply closet when he saw me coming. That's when I knew for certain something was up. See, Danny was one of those young guys who reminded me of myself when I first got out of the service. Eager, hardworking, needed some guidance on navigating corporate politics. I'd taken him under my wing, taught him how to build relationships with clients, how to read between the lines in meetings. Now he couldn't even look me in the eye. I slipped into my office and opened my desk drawer. Inside was my employment contract, all 12 pages of it, including the amendments I'd negotiated after our record Q4 last year. The Navy had taught me to always read the fine print, understand every clause, every contingency. In the military, your life could depend on following orders exactly as written. In corporate America, your career could depend on understanding exactly what you'd signed. I flipped to Section 11C and read it again. The language was crystal clear, and there were my initials right next to Jordan Phillips and Michelle's. My insurance policy, my safety net for exactly the kind of corporate backstabbing I was about to walk into. Jordan Phillips was our CEO, 41 years old, another Ivy League graduate who'd been brought in 2 years ago to modernize operations and drive strategic growth. Translation: cut costs and make the numbers look good for the board. He had that smooth, confident manner that came from never having to worry about job security, never having to work his way up from the bottom. The thing about guys like Jordan is they think experience is just a number on a resume. They don't understand that 18 years in this business means you've seen every trick, survived every downturn, built relationships that matter. To them, a 54-year-old VP is just an expensive line item that could be replaced by someone younger and cheaper. I folded the papers, slid them into my briefcase, and headed out, straightened my tie, took a deep breath, and walked to what I was pretty sure would be my execution. But here's the thing about military training. You learn to stay calm under pressure. Think strategically even when everything's going to hell. Now, if you're still with me here and want to know how this corporate power play backfired on them in the most expensive way possible, stick around. Because watching their world crumble was almost worth the 18 years of loyalty they were about to flush down the drain. Conference room B had its blinds drawn when I arrived. Jordan Phillips was sitting there with two HR representatives who looked like they'd swallowed glass. No laptops, no reports, no performance reviews to discuss. Just the corporate guillotine waiting for its cue. Roger, Jordan said, trying to sound sympathetic but coming off more like a funeral director. Thanks for coming on short notice. Of course, I replied. Always make time for leadership discussions. Nobody smiled. Jordan gestured to the empty chair across from him. I stayed standing. In the Navy, we learned that body language matters. Sitting down would put me at a psychological disadvantage, make me look submissive. I wasn't about to give them that satisfaction. There was a single sheet of paper in front of him. I'd bet my pension it was my termination notice. Jordan cleared his throat like he was about to announce someone had died. I'll cut right to the chase, Roger. We're implementing some geographic restructuring. Unfortunately, your current position is being eliminated. Effective immediately. Eliminated, not transferred, not modified, eliminated. Like I was some kind of inefficiency that needed to be corrected. The military term would be personnel reduction, but at least in the service they had the courtesy to call it what it was. This decision came from the executive committee, he added, which was his way of saying he didn't have the spine to own it himself. Classic officer behavior. Give the orders, but let someone else take responsibility when things go sideways. I nodded slowly. No protests, no begging, no emotional outburst. Just said, I understand. Jordan blinked, surprised. Maybe he expected me to break down or argue. Maybe he thought 18 years of loyalty would make me beg for my job. Poor kid didn't know me at all. The Navy teaches you to maintain composure under pressure. Never let the enemy see you sweat. We'll need your access cards and company phone, Michelle added from the corner, like she was asking me to pass the salt at dinner. I handed them over with a smile. Of course, your personal belongings will be boxed up and sent to you, one of the HR reps added. Standard corporate procedure. Make sure the terminated employee doesn't have a chance to contaminate the remaining staff or steal company secrets. And just like that, I was no longer an employee at Arcturus Manufacturing. Except that wasn't entirely true, not yet, because what Jordan and Michelle didn't realize was that firing me one day before my bonus vested didn't save the company money. It triggered Section 11C, which meant they didn't just owe me $2.5 million, they owed me significantly more than that. The beauty of Section 11C was in its precision. When I'd negotiated that clause 8 months earlier, I'd drawn on everything the Navy had taught me about contingency planning. You don't just prepare for the mission going right. You prepare for when everything goes wrong. And corporate America, I'd learned, had a lot more in common with military strategy than most people realized. But they'd find out soon enough. I left conference room B like I was heading to lunch. Calm, collected. Like the pink slip in my hand was just a receipt from the cafeteria. Jordan stayed behind, probably sweating through his expensive suit, hoping I wouldn't make a scene. Michelle was already on her phone, probably calling her assistant to schedule the next victim. The hallway felt different as I walked toward the elevators. 18 years of walking these same corridors, and now it felt like foreign territory. A few people I passed looked away quickly. Word travels fast in a place like this, especially when someone with my seniority gets walked out. I thought about stopping by my office to grab a few personal items, but decided against it. Let them box it up and ship it to me. I had more important things to do. Instead of heading to the parking garage, I took the elevator up to legal and compliance on the 6th floor. I'd spent enough time up there during contract negotiations to know who still had principles behind their corporate speak. More importantly, I knew who understood the difference between legal requirements and corporate convenience. The elevator ride gave me a moment to think about timing. In military operations, timing is everything. Move too fast, and you might miss critical intelligence. Move too slow, and the window of opportunity closes. Right now, I had about a 4-hour window before the termination paperwork made its way through the system, and people started covering their tracks. The receptionist barely looked up until I dropped my briefcase on her desk. "Tell Alex Turner I'm here," I said. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked, finally making eye contact. "I just got fired," I said with a smile. "He'll want to see me." She blinked twice, picked up her phone, and made the call. Within 5 minutes, Alex appeared in the lobby looking confused and concerned. Alex Turner was assistant counsel, mid-40s, sharp guy who'd helped me navigate some of the trickier contract language during the Morrison deal. He had that rare combination of legal expertise and common sense that made him valuable in a place like this. Plus, he was prior service himself, Army, if I remembered correctly, so he understood the value of preparation and documentation. "Roger, what's going on?" he asked as we walked toward his office. "They let me go. About 20 minutes ago." He stopped walking. "You're kidding. Effective immediately." "Geographic restructuring," they said. "No cause cited, no severance discussion beyond standard." Alex's face went through several expressions: surprise, confusion, then something that looked like concern. "What about the incentive clause?" "That's exactly what I want to discuss." 10 minutes later, I was in his office with the door closed and my briefcase open on his desk. Alex was reading through my contract with the focused attention of someone who understood that details matter. "Section 11C, page 8, I said, pointing to the relevant clause. Alex scanned it once, then again more carefully. His expression didn't change, but I could see the wheels turning. When you've worked with lawyers long enough, you learn to read the subtle signs, the slight widening of the eyes, the way they stop breathing for just a second when they realize the implications of what they're looking at. "Roger," Alex said slowly, his finger tracing the lines of text, "this clause is airtight. If they terminated you within 24 hours of vesting without documented cause, they owe you the full bonus plus a 75% penalty, plus continuation benefits." "That's my understanding," I said, keeping my voice steady. Inside, I was feeling that familiar calm that comes from knowing you've planned for exactly this scenario. And Jordan signed off on this, Michelle too. They initialed every page, even asked what the penalty multiplier was for. I told him it was protection against unfair termination practices. Jordan shrugged and said something about lawyers always being paranoid. Michelle just nodded and signed. Alex let out a low whistle. They thought they could dodge the $2.5 million payout by firing you early. But the clause activates because of the termination timing, not despite it. "Military teaches you to plan for contingencies," I said. "You don't just hope for the best, you prepare for when things go sideways." Alex was doing quick math on his legal pad. 2.5 million base bonus plus 75% penalty equals $1.875 million additional. Total exposure of $437.65 million, and assuming you don't push for additional damages under the discrimination provisions. The discrimination angle was something I'd been particularly careful about when crafting the language. At 54, in an industry that was increasingly obsessed with young talent and digital natives, I'd seen too many experienced guys get pushed out under the guise of modernization. The clause included specific protections against age-based termination disguised as restructuring. "This is going to create some serious problems upstairs," Alex muttered, reading through the clause again. "I'm not looking for revenge, Alex. I'm looking for enforcement of a legal contract." He nodded slowly, understanding the distinction. "You want me to escalate this quietly? I'd prefer if it came from internal counsel first. You've got relationships I don't, and I'd rather this collapse happen from the inside out instead of turning into some public spectacle." Alex didn't say much after that, just photographed the relevant pages and forwarded the documentation to himself. I could see him thinking through the implications, probably already planning how to present this to Amanda Stevens, the lead counsel. As I stood to leave, Alex looked up from his notes. "Roger, can I ask you something?" "Shoot. When you negotiated this clause 8 months ago, did you know this day would come?" I thought about that for a moment. I knew it was possible. Jordan's been making noise about operational efficiency, modernizing the leadership team. Michelle's been pushing for cost reductions across all departments. When you're 54 in a company that's hiring 30-year-old VPs, you read the writing on the wall. So you prepared. I prepared. In the Navy, we had a saying, "Hope for the best, plan for the worst." This was my plan for the worst. Alex shook his head with something that looked like admiration. "Don't worry about being on the wrong side of this. The wrong side is the one that thought 18 years of loyalty meant nothing." I left his office and headed down to the 4th floor. I had one more stop to make before this thing really got rolling. Nicole Foster worked in compliance, one of those detail-oriented people who remembered everything: regulations, precedents, the company's entire disciplinary history. More importantly, she understood how documentation could protect you when corporate politics turned ugly. Nicole looked up from her cubicle, startled. "Roger, I thought you were. Didn't someone say you were leaving?" "I am," I said, handing her a copy of the contract. Section 11C. Original signatures, amendment history, everything documented. I need this to go up the chain to Amanda Stevens. Nicole opened the folder like it might explode. She was smart enough to know that when someone with my seniority shows up with legal documents after being terminated, it usually means trouble for somebody. Wait, you were terminated today, one day before vesting. They called it geographic restructuring, but there's no documentation of redundancy, no performance issues, no business justification filed with HR. She read through the clause, then read it again. Her mouth fell open slightly. Roger, this language is surgical. Termination within 24 hours of any major compensation event triggers accelerated payout plus penalties. I didn't hide it. It's been in my contract for 8 months. Jordan laughed when he signed it and said only lawyers read the fine print. Nicole was already reaching for her phone. This needs to go to Amanda Stevens immediately. That's why I'm here. The timing matters. Every hour they wait makes their position worse from a liability standpoint. Within 30 minutes of leaving Nicole's desk, I could hear the rumbling starting upstairs. Phones ringing, urgent meetings being scheduled, the sound of a corporate machine suddenly realizing it had just stepped on a landmine. I decided it was time to make my exit from the building. I'd done what I needed to do, planted the seeds, provided the documentation, set the wheels in motion. Now it was time to let them spin. As I walked through the lobby one last time, I passed Janet at the reception desk. This time she looked up. "Mr. Hayes," she said quietly. "I'm sorry about what happened." "Thanks, Janet. It's not your fault." "Is there anything I can do?" I smiled. "Just keep being the professional you've always been." This place needs people like you. I pushed through the glass doors and stepped into the afternoon sunshine. My phone was already buzzing with text messages. Word was getting out. People were asking questions, but I wasn't ready to answer them yet. I had a stop to make at my lawyer's office because while Section 11C was solid, I wanted to make sure every detail was bulletproof before this thing really exploded. By 3 p.m., the executive floor at Arcturus was in full panic mode. I wasn't there to see it firsthand, but I had enough friends still inside to get the play-by-play later. Jordan was frantically calling IT to pull up archived emails. Michelle was demanding to see all documentation related to my Q4 contract renegotiation. Amanda Stevens, the company's lead counsel, was sitting in her office staring at my contract like it was a bomb with the timer counting down. The numbers were simple and they were devastating. My standard bonus was $2.5 million. Section 11C added a 75% penalty for improper termination plus benefits continuation. Total exposure, $4.375 million, assuming I didn't push for additional damages under the age discrimination provisions. But here's the thing, I wasn't asking for a settlement. I wasn't demanding mediation. I'd simply submitted the contract with proper documentation and let the legal department do the math. By 4 p.m., Amanda was calling an emergency meeting with the executive committee. By 5 p.m., Jordan was getting a very uncomfortable conversation with the board about how he'd just cost the company an extra $1.875 million by trying to save $2.5 million. The beautiful part about Section 11C wasn't just the financial penalty. It included specific language about age discrimination that I'd crafted after consulting with a Navy buddy who'd gone to law school. The timing of my termination, combined with the company's recent focus on modernizing senior staff, created a pattern that looked very much like systematic age bias. 3 days later, my phone rang. Not Jordan or Michelle, but Ryan Mitchell from the board of directors. "Roger," he said, and I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. "We've reviewed your contract situation. I figured you might." Amanda tells us this clause is enforceable. The documentation is solid. The timing is problematic, and frankly, the optics are terrible. Military teaches you to keep good records. There was a long pause. "We'd like to discuss a resolution." "I'm listening. Full payout is specified in Section 11C. $4,075 million. Clean separation, mutual non-disclosure agreement." I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. "Acceptable? There is one other matter," Ryan continued. "We're also extending an offer for you to join our advisory board. Seems we could use someone with your attention to detail." The advisory board position was their way of saving face, making it look like this was all planned, like they weren't just paying me to go away quietly. Fine by me. Advisory board positions pay well and require minimal actual work. "I'll consider the advisory role," I said. Send me the details. 2 weeks later, the money hit my account. All $440-$75 million of it, minus taxes. I'd gone from unemployed to financially independent in the span of one conversation. But the real satisfaction came from watching what happened to the people who'd thought they could outsmart me. Jordan Phillips lasted another 6 months before the board decided he needed to pursue new opportunities in a more dynamic environment, apparently costing the company $75 million through poor decision-making wasn't the kind of leadership they were looking for. Last I heard, he was working for a small consulting firm in Ohio, making about a third of what he used to earn. Michelle Roberts took early retirement after the age discrimination review uncovered some uncomfortable patterns in her termination recommendations. Turns out I wasn't the only experienced employee she'd targeted for geographic restructuring. The legal department found at least 3 other cases where senior staff had been pushed out under questionable circumstances. Alex Turner got promoted to lead counsel when Amanda Stevens decided to move to private practice. Nicole Foster was moved to a senior compliance role with a significant salary bump. It's funny how being on the right side of a major legal issue can accelerate your career. As for me, 3 months after my payout, I was sitting in my new office at Hayes Industrial Consulting, the firm I'd started with part of the money. Turns out there's a significant market for helping experienced executives navigate corporate transitions and protect themselves from exactly the kind of situation I'd just survived. My first client was a 56-year-old VP who'd just been restructured out of his job one day before a major bonus vested. Sound familiar? Seems this kind of corporate sleight of hand was more common than I'd thought. The difference was, most people didn't have a Section 11C in their contracts. That became my specialty, helping experienced professionals build protection into their employment agreements before they needed it. Prevention, not cure. It was good business and good for the soul. Every contract I helped negotiate was one less person who could be blindsided by corporate betrayal. The consulting firm grew quickly. Within a year, I had 6 employees and clients across 3 states. We specialized in executive contract negotiation, corporate transition planning, and age discrimination protection. The irony wasn't lost on me. By trying to save money firing me, Arcturus had funded the creation of a business dedicated to preventing other companies from making the same mistake. The lesson here isn't complicated. When you've been around long enough to know how the game is played, make sure you're playing by rules that protect you, not just them. Experience matters. Loyalty should be rewarded, and contracts should be read carefully by both sides. Some folks might call what I did revenge. I call it preparation meeting opportunity. In corporate America, if you don't protect yourself, nobody else will. The Navy taught me that the best defense is a good offense, and sometimes the best offense is a well-written contract clause that nobody bothers to read until it's too late. Jordan and Michelle learned an expensive lesson about underestimating people. I learned that 18 years of loyalty might not mean much to a company, but 18 years of experience in reading contracts and understanding corporate psychology, that's worth its weight in gold. And the best part, every month I get a small advisory board fee from Arcturus Manufacturing. It's not much, but it's a nice reminder that sometimes justice comes with a regular paycheck attached. The real power in any corporate game isn't in the title on your business card. It's in understanding the rules well enough to write your own protection into them before you need it. They say experience can't be taught, but it can be contracted for. And the most expensive lessons are the ones learned by people who thought wisdom was just another line item they could cut from the budget.